I think many of you have more than once caught yourself thinking how wonderful it is that we have cameras. Thanks to photography, we can forever capture any moment that happened in our lives. In this video, I suggest you take a look at a selection of various interesting photographs, each of which tells us its own story. Enjoy watching. At one court hearing in Florida, the judge was offered to use a virtual reality headset to see the crime scene from the first-person perspective. Amazingly, after the tragic events of the September 11, 2001, the Kenyan Maasai people donated 12 cows to the United States in support of the families of the victims. A child's jaw contains both baby and permanent teeth from birth, but we almost never think about it. This man was missing 90% of his brain, yet he was able to live and feel quite normal. This photograph captures the moment of the world's first underwater cabinet meeting, held by the president of the Maldives in 2009. Tsutomu Yamaguchi is a unique man who survived twice, during the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. In the first city, he was on a business trip and was injured, and the second time he had returned home and again was caught in the atomic blast. Despite his extraordinary luck, his life was ruined as the Japanese blamed him for not dying. This photograph shows Ella Williams, the tallest woman in the world. Her height was just over 213 centimeters. This is what the inside of a sea turtle's mouth looks like. This woman stole 5 chicken eggs from a store to feed her children. Instead of arresting her, Officer William Stacy delivered an entire truckload of groceries to her. This stadium did not meet FIFA standards, so developers had to urgently increase its capacity by another 18,000 seats. These two photographs show the same person 6 months apart after starting drug use. In 2023, the creative agency MSCHF released a microscopic handbag modeled after the Louis Vuitton On The Go. It was so tiny that it could fit through the eye of a needle. Amazingly, under a microscope, you can see many details identical to the original. This frame shows the filming of the 1954 Godzilla movie. This photograph shows the hands of a person suffering from Raynaud's syndrome, in which blood circulation in the fingers and toes is impaired due to spasms of small blood vessels. The photographer managed to capture a rare phenomenon when an iceberg flipped upside down. This picture shows a pile of 1 million dead mosquitoes. Its height reached over 20 centimeters. This photograph shows what a thunderstorm in the clouds looks like. This image demonstrates the difference in size and price of a McDonald's Big Mac. You can see that in 2024, it became not only more expensive, but also smaller. The headquarters of the National Fisheries Development Board in India has a very unusual shape, a giant fish. In 1986, the Buick Company created the world's first touchscreen for cars. At the time, this invention did not gain popularity, as drivers found it difficult to adapt to such innovation. This bus with the rear part of a passenger car attached to it is a clear reminder of the importance of keeping distance and following the speed limit on the roads. This picture does not show ordinary children, but actual German soldiers who were captured by the U.S. Army's 6th Armored Division. This shot looks exactly like ocean waves. In 2003, a terrible tragedy occurred. The Space Shuttle Columbia crashed. As a result, all 7 crew members died. On some beaches in Italy, special trash bins are installed specifically for pizza boxes. This photograph shows the time when Tokyo did not yet have so many skyscrapers. This shot made it into the list of the best photographs taken with a microscope. It shows a pair of ovaries of an adult female fruit fly. Spiny dogfish sharks, like most cartilaginous fish, have spiracles, openings behind the eyes for breathing. Through them, water enters the mouth and passes through the gills. This allows the shark to breathe even under a layer of sediment. In contrast, fast-swimming species of sharks breathe through their gills while moving. If you think rays have a simple, primitive skeleton, you are mistaken. Just take a look at this photograph and you will understand how complex it is. Many people think selfies appeared relatively recently, but as far back as 1957, this man mounted a camera on an ordinary stick and took a picture of himself. This letter was written by a woman named Emma Hawke, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia. She wrote many such letters, and in all of them, the same phrase was repeated: "Darling, please come." This 100-year-old giant tortoise gave birth to more than 800 offspring. Thanks to her and the staff of the reserve where she lived, the population of this endangered species increased significantly. This is what the beginning of the Great Wall of China looks like. This grand structure starts in the east at the city of Shanhaiguan in the Yellow Sea Bay and ends in the west in the Gobi Desert. The total length of all sections of the wall is 21,196 kilometers. An interesting fact is that expiration dates on milk bottles appeared thanks to the famous mobster Al Capone. This happened after his niece was poisoned by spoiled milk. A photograph taken in 1948 in Chicago still shocks many people, as it shows a mother who, out of despair, is selling her own 4 children. This picture shows an FBI agent named Robert Hansen, who was assigned to search for spies, but it was later revealed that he himself had been selling secret data to the Soviet Union for a long time. Saddam Hussein was captured by U.S. armed forces in the Iraqi city of Ad-Daur in December 2003. This chilling picture was taken in 2003. It shows a Mongolian woman who was sentenced to death for adultery. In 1894, the first bottle of Coca-Cola was sold, and it is depicted in this photograph. This photograph shows a close-up of a fungus beetle. In December 2024, a strap-toothed whale was found on the coast of New Zealand. This species is incredibly rare, so the animal's carcass was handed over to scientists for further study. This lemon was left to keep growing on the tree and became similar to a yellow bergamot. This photograph shows the mace of the U.S. House of Representatives. This ceremonial symbol of governmental and legislative authority has been in use since 1841. In one of his last notes, Nikola Tesla wrote that he was very disappointed in life because none of his inventions had been appreciated, and he himself was constantly subjected to humiliation and ridicule. Scientists were very surprised to learn that birds in this forest were using an old thick glass bottle to crush snails. This man is a member of an unusual French theatrical group called Aquamen. These people are known for wearing aquariums on their heads, inside which live fish swim. The Danish Special Forces unit called Frogman Corps has quite unusual equipment. This photograph shows August Landmesser, who in 1936 became the only person in the crowd to refuse to salute Adolf Hitler. This photograph was published in Life magazine in 1964. It showed Malcolm X with a gun after he had received numerous threats from the Nation of Islam movement. Dustin Gordon, a student at Collin High School, was captured in complete despair after learning that the gunmen who committed a horrific attack were his friends. This is how happy Walt Disney looked when he attended the opening ceremony of Disneyland on July 17, 1955. Just 2 milligrams of fentanyl are enough to kill any adult. In 2021, nurses used gloves filled with water to imitate human touch. They used this method to comfort terminally ill, lonely patients. In 2001, Kenny Waters was released after being wrongfully convicted of murder and spending 18 years in prison. The man was freed thanks to his sister, who specifically graduated from law school and was able to prove his innocence. Adam Rayner was a unique person whose story is hard to believe. The thing is, during his lifetime, he was both a dwarf and a giant. Adam was born with dwarfism, and at the age of 18, his height was only 122 centimeters. But at the age of 26, he suddenly began to grow rapidly. Before his death, his height was 234 centimeters. In 1987, during the filming of the music video The Way You Make Me Feel, Michael Jackson posed with members of the LA Crips gang. This photo became one of the vivid moments of the filming process and demonstrates the pop icon's interaction with Los Angeles street culture. In Arizona, there is a cell tower disguised as a cactus. A unique image captures the moment a honeybee's stinger is released during a sting. You might think this is a honeycomb, but in fact, it is a pentacene molecule. This unique photograph was taken in 2009 by IBM scientists using a powerful atomic force microscope in an ultra-high vacuum. A man discovered a Monopoly board covering almost the entire floor of a room in a house he had purchased. This is what the self-portraits of a person suffering from dementia look like at different stages of the progression of this terrible disease. Many are familiar with Charles Clyde Ebbitz's photograph, Lunch Atop a Skyscraper, but few know how it was taken. The photo on the left will help you understand. This photograph shows what the aftermath of an earthquake in California looks like from a bird's-eye view. In 400 AD, the indigenous people of the lands belonging to modern-day Peru successfully repaired a damaged skull fragment using a gold plate. In this image, you see the car with the highest mileage in the world. Over 52 years, it traveled more than 5,210,000 kilometers. Queen Elizabeth II often drove a car herself until 2019, when her son revoked her driving license. In 2019, the Queen was 93 years old. Some people have an anomaly related to the number of fingers on their hands or feet. For example, this person was born with only 4 fingers. Sox the cat, the Clinton family's pet, moved into the White House in 1991 after jumping into Chelsea Clinton's arms. He became the presidential family's favorite until 1997 when Labrador Buddy arrived, and the two did not get along. French President Emmanuel Macron met his future wife Brigitte when he was 15 years old. She was a French teacher and ran the school's theater club. Despite the 24-year age difference and the fact that Brigitte was married with 3 children, their relationship continued. After 13 years of communication, they married in Taunton. This photograph was taken in the early 1940s. It shows Santa Claus in a metal helmet, who, despite the bombings in London, still hurried to deliver gifts. For a long time, it was believed that this picture showed a subject of a Soviet sleep deprivation experiment, but in fact, it is a fake. This man lost his wife during a natural disaster in Japan and hoped to find her body. For 10 years, he dived into the ocean more than 800 times, but his search was unsuccessful. This picture shows the largest recorded horse. His name was Samson. He was born in England in the 19th century. His height was 219 centimeters and his weight over 1.5 tons. This photograph shows the most isolated house in the world. It is located on Elliday Island in Iceland. Before you is Ethan Zuckerman. While working at Tripod.com, he created the world's first pop-up ad after an advertiser complained about the inappropriate proximity of their banner to undesirable content. However, he later admitted he had no idea how annoying this invention would become for internet users. In 1900, U.S. cavalry soldiers took a commemorative photo next to a giant sequoia in Yosemite National Park. The tree, known as the grizzly giant, has survived to this day and continues to amaze park visitors with its size. This photo captures the moment of dividing Beanie Baby collectible toys between spouses during divorce court proceedings. In March 1974, Chinese farmers, while drilling an artesian well near Xi'an, discovered the first head of a terracotta warrior. This discovery marked the beginning of excavations of a multi-thousand army of statues created to protect Emperor Qin Shi Huang in the afterlife. This collection contains more than 8,000 life-sized unique warrior figures. Despite being over 2,000 years old, they are remarkably well preserved. This photograph was taken into the 1940s. At that time, beauty salons used an unusual device for curling hair. This invention became the prototype for modern tools for creating long-lasting curls. In 1997, an unusual incident occurred. A hunter shot a tiger and took away his not yet dead prey. Amazingly, that night, the tiger found the man's tent and attacked him. This married couple turned a desert area into a real green oasis. In just 18 years, they planted over 2 million trees. Their example shows that people are capable not only of destroying, but also of helping nature. In this photo, taken in 1944, you see one of the youngest criminals sentenced to death. George Stinney Jr. was executed at the age of 14, and 70 years later, this verdict was overturned, recognizing a judicial error, but no one can bring this child back to life. On September 10th, 2004, a surgeon from Switzerland performed an operation on a pig located in Hong Kong. This experiment was successful, despite the fact that the doctor carried out the procedure using a game controller. At the age of 27, model Anna Nicole Smith married 89-year-old billionaire Howard Marshall II, whom she met while working in a strip club. The marriage lasted only 14 months. After her husband's death, she entered a lengthy legal battle over the inheritance with his son, which led to serious mental health problems. These photographs show Steve Jobs testing various filters in a new photo booth. In 2014, a curious incident occurred in Moscow. Security guards mistakenly tried to kick Travis Scott out of his own concert. The artist became the victim of a misunderstanding by the security service, which did not recognize him as the performer. Barack Obama decided to take a photo with a child who had fallen asleep at one of the formal events in the White House. This runner realized that he had accidentally appeared in the frame of a marriage proposal shoot. This photograph shows Jacob Miller, a soldier from the Civil War era. On his forehead, you can see a bullet scar that he lived with for more than 30 years. Something terrible happened to this baby elephant. When he was born, his mother, for unknown reasons, rejected him and tried to crush him, but kind people nearby helped save him. This is what a human face would look like if it were deprived of all muscles. In 1946, on Bikini Atoll, the United States began conducting its first nuclear tests. For safety reasons, local residents were relocated. The Avengers group, consisting of Holocaust survivors, planned to take revenge on the Germans for the death of their loved ones. Their plans included poisoning water supplies in Germany, but they were stopped by the British. Bonnie Haim disappeared in January 1996. When the police began investigating the case, her little son named Aaron said that his dad hurt his mom, but no one believed him. In 2014, during construction work, Aaron found a fragment of a skull and a .22 caliber shell casing under a concrete slab in the backyard. After this discovery, in 2019, Bonnie Haim's husband was found guilty of murder and taken into custody. This woman's name is Michelle, and she is an experienced fisherman. She managed to single-handedly handle a fantastic catch, a huge bluefin tuna. The fish measured 2.5 meters in length and weighed almost 300 kilograms. This was the CT scan of a 78-year-old woman who had a calcified fetus inside her for more than 30 years. This girl's name is Tilly Smith. At the age of 10, during a geography lesson, she learned that during a tsunami, water quickly recedes from the shore. In 2004, while vacationing with her family in Phuket, Thailand, she noticed the approaching tsunami and told her parents, who in turn informed the beach security guards. Thanks to the little girl, more than 100 people on the beach were saved. These photos are magnificent and amusing. The photographer managed to take perfect shots of a person seemingly holding the moon. A cross-section of a road in England is a real bridge to the past, as it shows what roads looked like in different eras. In 2015, a Texas resident named George Pickering managed to save his son's life after doctors mistakenly diagnosed brain death. He brought a gun and threatened the medical staff to prevent them from disconnecting his son from life support. At one point, George's son squeezed his hand several times, proving he was alive. Many Japanese companies offer an additional 6 days of vacation to non-smoking employees. And while this may seem like a great demotivation, in reality, it is merely compensation for the time spent by smokers on cigarette breaks. Polish traveler Alexander Doba managed to cross the Atlantic Ocean 3 times in a kayak. The last time he did it was in 2017 at the age of 71. This remarkable man passed away in 2021 on Mount Kilimanjaro. After reaching the summit, he decided to rest there and fell asleep, never waking up. For decades, Tony Signorini left giant dinosaur footprints on the beaches of Tampa, walking at night in special 13-kilogram lead boots. The idea came to him in 1948 after his boss saw dinosaur tracks in a magazine. Together, they created these boots and began to prank locals who seriously believed a prehistoric monster had appeared. A father and son decided to take up sports, and these are the amazing results they managed to achieve in just 6 months. In the Soviet Union, there was a practice of letting small children sleep outdoors in the frost. It was believed to strengthen the immune system. Such unusual wavy brick fences can be seen in England. They appeared in the 17th century and are still in use. Thanks to their shape, these fences are very stable with minimal material use. These photographs were received by a woman who sincerely believed she was communicating with Brad Pitt. In the correspondence, a scammer posing as the actor asked her for money for treatment. The gullible woman transferred more than 830,000 euros to his account. Few people know, but in the early 20th century, there was a popular service of people who played the role of alarm clocks, helping others wake up by knocking on their windows. At first glance, you may think this photograph shows an ordinary forest, but in fact, each trunk is connected by a common root system, so essentially, this entire forest is one single tree. We are all used to the high safety standards of rides and cable cars, but in the 20th century, things were different. A man who disappeared in 1996 in Algeria was recently found. All this time, he had been held captive in a well. This woman was arrested for participating in a protest. She was checked for mental illnesses, as law enforcement officers could not understand why she was fighting for civil rights. In the 1930s in Japan, there was an unusual punishment for murderers. The criminal was placed in a cage and displayed on the street. Then he publicly died from hunger and thirst. This picture shows the first flower grown in space. It was a zinnia, grown in a greenhouse aboard the ISS in 2016. The Knife Angel sculpture is located in Birmingham, UK. It took 100,000 knives to create. The monument was built as a protest against armed violence. Chris Espinosa became the 8th Apple employee in 1976 when he was just 14 years old, starting work in Steve Jobs' legendary garage, where the company was founded. During his time at Apple, he participated in the development of many key company products. Espinosa remains the longest-serving Apple employee in the company's history, having worked there almost his entire life, with a short break to study at the University of California, Berkeley. Using computed tomography, scientists were able to show what the bodies of women weighing 120 kilograms and 57 kilograms look like. Froghoppers create foam nests on plants where their larvae live. These tiny insects, only 5 millimeters long, can jump up to a meter high, which would be like a human jumping to the height of a skyscraper. Indian entrepreneur Anand Prakash Chouksey built a scaled-down replica of the Taj Mahal for his wife at a cost of $260,000. The Snow White mansion with the 4 bedrooms and a luxurious interior has everything for a comfortable life, and it has now become a popular spot for wedding photo shoots in Burhanpur. When this woman was sentenced by a South Vietnamese court to 20 years of hard labor, she laughed and said that its government would not last that long and she would be freed anyway. This is what the border between Canada and the USA looks like. Quite noticeable, wouldn't you agree? In 2006, John Edward Jones got stuck in a cave exactly in the position shown in this image. For 27 hours, he remained upside down, and unfortunately, rescuers who arrived at the scene could not pull him out. This homeless man deliberately robbed a bank and waited for the police to get free medical care. This picture shows an unusual early 20th century procedure for removing freckles. A woman received a FIFA award as the best fan after she was seen describing a match to her blind son. This orangutan from the San Diego Zoo can be called a real troublemaker. He escaped from his enclosure 3 times and regularly threw stones at his fellow orangutans and other animals. This touching photograph shows a Kuwaiti girl hugging her goat. The picture became a symbol of faith and hope during difficult times in the Gulf War in 1991. Craig Lewis became the first person to live for 5 weeks without a pulse, thanks to a special device. This photograph shows 16-year-old German soldier Hans-Georg Hinke, who broke down crying in fear when he was taken prisoner. The Yungas Road, located in Bolivia, is often called the Death Road because it is one of the most dangerous in the world. This photograph, taken in the 1950s, shows children who had to cross a river this way to get to school. This 1992 photograph captures the unique moment of Jenny Joseph's photo shoot for the famous Columbia Pictures logo. In January of 2007, Russian President Vladimir Putin met with German Chancellor Angela Merkel. At this event, he was accompanied by his black Labrador, despite knowing Merkel is afraid of dogs. A man wrongfully accused of murder managed to avoid the death penalty thanks to his lawyer. He found a photograph proving that at the time of the crime, the accused was with his daughter at a basketball game. On November 30th, 1994, rapper Tupac was shot, but even in this condition, he showed his protest to photographers. A U.S. Air Force soldier was captured by a young Vietnamese girl. He could not resist as he was under the barrel of the gun. Few people know that Queen Elizabeth II had 2 disabled cousins. They were declared dead, but in reality, they were placed in a mental hospital. One of them lived to be 66 and the other to 86. This photograph was taken in the 1950s and demonstrates how small people seem compared to the giants among trees, sequoias. French beekeepers could not understand why their bees began producing multicolored honey. Later, they found out that the bees had been visiting an M&M's candy factory. In 2018, a woman from North Carolina submerged 5 luxurious porcelain tea sets in water in the hope of saving them from wildfires. These clocks, found in Hiroshima, stopped at exactly the time when the atomic bomb was dropped on the city. In 1925, medical students dissected an intact human nervous system. This work took over 1,500 hours. This rare shot captures the moment lightning struck directly into a boat. This skull is the most elongated among all those ever discovered. In the Royal Armouries Museum in Leeds, UK, there is an exclusive golden AK-47 that belonged to Saddam Hussein. This weapon was part of a display of the former Iraqi leader's wealth and power. Jacob Hudson Nacken became the tallest soldier of World War II. His height was 221 centimeters. In this photograph, he is shown talking to a Canadian corporal whose height was 167 centimeters. This is what the hand of an early 20th century radiologist looked like after suffering severe radiation damage. Analysis of ancient footprints found in white sands confirms the presence of humans in North America more than 2,100 years ago. This frame captures a touching farewell scene between a criminal sentenced to life imprisonment and his beloved. This is what the lower part of Warwick Castle looks like, where the prison was located in which inmates were placed, with no possibility of ever leaving the place. This interesting photograph shows a small fawn lying next to a broken toy deer used for hunter shooting practice. Few people know that Bill Gates was called into a police station. This happened in 1977. He was convicted of violating traffic rules. Interestingly, the outline of Gates from this police station photograph was later used for the default profile image in Outlook. In the lobby of one Chinese hotel, a modified world map was found, with China as the center of the Earth. Thousands of sea lions gathered on San Carlos Beach in California due to an orca invasion. This crocodile's name was Cassius. He was not only a long liver, but also a record holder in terms of size. He died at the age of over 110, while crocodiles usually live up to 80 years. His body length was almost 5.5 meters, and his weight was about 100 kilograms. This dice was found in Egypt. It dates back to 200 BC. The Challenger Deep has a depth of just under 11 kilometers, yet a beer bottle was found there. This discovery demonstrates just how polluted the world's oceans are with garbage. In one monastery, the door to the dining hall was deliberately made very narrow so that the monks would maintain their diet. After all, if they didn't, they would not be able to enter for a meal. This photograph shows Charles Bronson sentenced to life imprisonment and nicknamed the most violent prisoner in the United Kingdom. The picture captures the moment when numerous insects are trying to escape from floods. These people are at the so-called Point Nemo, which is the most remote location from land. This is what a great white shark looks like if viewed from below. It took the photographer more than 6 months to capture a perfect shot of a black panther against a starry sky, but such a magnificent photograph was worth the effort and time spent. This is what a motorcyclist's helmet looks like after an accident at a speed of about 110 kilometers per hour. This photograph shows a vampire wasp known for laying its eggs under the skin of its victim. This dark-skinned couple had an unusual child, a blonde with white skin. The couple named him Miracle. And that's all from me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon. For me, your activity is the best reward. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye.